called Food and Loathing in Providence, Rhode Island. This past weekend, my girlfriend and I decided to take our relationship to the next level. Not in the traditional way of renting anything that connects to a trailer hitch, or doing anything that would stray into the category of cat adoption. Instead of those trusty standbys, we took a mostly unplanned overnight trip to a town neither of us had ever been to. It made me feel adventurous and all grown up with a simple, hasty hotel booking. We settled on Providence, Rhode Island because it looked quaint enough, only required us being in the car for an hour, and is allegedly just about the most gluten-free friendly place in these United States. I'm the kind of traveler whose blood sugar drops with the precision and force of a guillotine, leaving in its wake a haze of blind anger and frustration aimed at everything around me. This dramatic transformation usually happens sometime between the fastening of seatbelts and the locating of the highway entrance ramp. And because my gluten allergy leaves me unable to eat normal people things like sandwiches or pizza, getting me more than some lettuce when I'm in my hunger state is a challenge. Greta, my girlfriend, who is smart and resourceful, figured this out very early on, maybe on our first date, and is always prepared to hand me a granola bar. We made our southward journey without a hitch and found street parking in Providence a little before noon. After arriving in a downtownish area and buying nothing in some cute shops, it was time to relocate the car. We decided to GPS our way to a co-op clear across town. Typical. We passed under a stone monument that arched over the street. In its center, suspended, was either an inverted stone pineapple or a huge pine cone. It was unclear to me, and neither makes a whole lot of sense. After driving 1 mile in a little less than 20 minutes, it became clear that the city of Providence was planned in such a way that only one of the seemingly 5 million lights within city limits could be green at any time. 45 minutes later, we arrived at the co-op's little green dot on the GPS screen, which turned out to be a gravel parking lot serving a liquor store. After giving up that dream, we drove, mostly by stopping at red lights, back across town, under the inexplicable stone pineapple, where Yelp informed us that gluten-free pizza could be procured. This did exist, and though it took forever, it was moderately delicious, and more importantly to all involved, this pizza staved off a complete meltdown by one of the members of our party. We continued to shop until we remembered reading about a vegan ice cream truck during the 10-minute research phase of trip planning. The truck, like no other, was on that day, located in the center of a sprawling park, laced with drivable roads, bike paths, multiple ponds, swan boats, and miles of trees and fields. After driving for a bit, we consulted with an ornery individual who pointed us in the opposite direction from which we came and mentioned something about cyclocross. We were told to listen for the sounds. The sounds led us down a road, across a bridge, and up a hill, only to stumble upon miles of dirt track, on which hulking men on smallish bicycles rode past us precariously and with great speed. In the distance, in the center of the winding track, we spotted an area that contained booths and food carts. The next man we consulted informed us it was totally cool to just hop the barriers and cross the track when the road seemed clear. Death by sweaty man on a bike? I'd rather not. We cut our losses and circled the mile or so around the perimeter of the course, through ditches and mud and grass, over hills, and finally into the boisterous meadow, all in the name of vegan soft serve. It was so worth it. After dairy-free dairy, we located to the harbor and then a bookstore before deciding it was time for more real food. Greta deals with avoiding my hunger meltdowns like it's her job, which it kind of is. Thus began the gauntlet of securing dinner, an epic battle of 2 girls against an entire city of gridlock traffic, stuffy restaurants, and low blood sugar-induced rage. The best way to describe Providence is sprawling and poorly planned. The first restaurant we tried, all the way across town, by way of the Pineapple Arch, was pretentious, expensive, and seemed to only allow old white couples. After perusing an exorbitantly priced menu with nary a gluten-free option, we stood up and walked out. This is perhaps one of the rudest things I've ever done. It felt fantastic. We later justify this by declaring the establishment oppressive. Like the heterosexist, classist, racist Italian restaurants of the patriarchy, like the vegan food cart. We had only planned the one dinner option, though, so we relocated to the vehicle to gear up for our next battle with every car in Providence. We crossed the street of mildly dangerous traffic and located the car after our escape from upper middle life gluten-loving foodies. Once safely inside, I began searching Yelp for other dinner options. My better half did a funny little dance while claiming that she didn't have to pee that badly. We'd be at the next restaurant soon enough. I mean, everything's less than 5 miles away, and we could just hop on the expressway. How long could it take? We settled on a Mexican place, which required us to turn around and go back from whence we came. Before, as we drove the 2 expressway stops to the current disappointment of dinner option 1, we may or may not have smugly scoffed at the suckers stuck in gridlock traffic on their way into downtown Providence. As we neared the entrance ramp, I had the sneaking suspicion karma was about to strike back. 20 minutes later, we were idling on an exit ramp, watching the light at the end of it rotate from red to green to yellow, with seemingly no impact on the cars around us. Greta is a clever, brave, and some might politely say, impatient driver. She's from New York. It's these very qualities that led her to devise a plan in which we would drive on the shoulder, fake a left turn, and then cut everyone off. The bad karma we were wrapping up had me worried we might not make it out of this town alive. The traffic continued to crawl under the stone monument with its pineapple, hanging inappropriately and somewhat disconcertingly, not unlike a uvula. In just under 15 minutes, we went 0.2 miles. The solitary green light in the city of Providence was letting through roughly 1/3 of a car per rotation. 6 years later, we arrived at our burrito-promising destination, so saith the GPS, the Mexican place with multiple stars on Yelp. Only the Mexican place looked a lot like an auto body shop on a street of auto body shops. Greta found herself wishing aloud and with unsettling frequency that she hadn't tempted the rest stop gods by not stopping before we began our chess match with the cards of Providence. I decided on Indian food. We were sure this place existed because we had seen it with our own eyes earlier that day, no longer trusting Yelp or the GPS further than they could throw us. The place was across town, more or less back once again in the direction we had just come from. Through a combination of side streets and parking lots, we circumvented the stone arch, lest its pineapple detach and crush us. For once, I was the rational one. Not a tear was shed nor a tantrum thrown. As we waited in a sea of taillights, I called the restaurant and placed an order for takeout. Getting there took more time than my pride will let me admit, but it was longer than an episode of Modern Family and shorter than the film Titanic. We arrived at our hotel and proceeded to check in only after I dropped our tikka masala on the asphalt next to the car. Soon enough, keycard in hand, we entered our lovely non-smoking room, as indicated by the crossed-out cigarette sign on the door, replete with a view of the highway only to find ashtrays, 2 ashtrays, and smoke still hanging in the air. Greta immediately developed a headache and called the front desk, while I threw open the balcony door and turned on the AC. True to mediocre hotel form, the front desk, invoking the classic "the customer is never right" policy, informed us we had not selected a smoking preference when booking the room. Greta kindly informed the queen of the front desk that there was no such fucking option available when booking the room. After briefly discussing driving home, vetoed by me, we ended up drafting a strongly worded letter to the hotel. While eating our dinner, seated on a hideous floral bedspread with the exact same muted orange tones of our tikka masala. The food, having mostly survived its crush with the parking lot, was delicious, or perhaps we were just deliriously hungry. Either way, We ate it all with torn plastic cups turned spoons, as we had failed to indicate when placing our takeout order a preference for plastic silverware. The next morning, after a continental breakfast of a liquid erroneously billed as gourmet coffee, we prepared to hit the road. We planned to stop at a vegan bakery on our way back to Boston. Typical. As we pulled out of the parking lot, Greta opened the glove compartment and fished around blindly as she cut across 4 lanes of traffic to the entrance ramp. She turned to me and grinned victoriously, granola bar in hand. I forgot I had this stashed for emergencies, she said. Thank you.